TNA Bound for Glory 2025 was a show that had moments, but ultimately fell short of what could have been. And the frustrating part is that most of the problems were pretty much self-inflicted. When you look at the card on paper, there was some potential there. When you watch what actually happened, though, you see a promotion that repeatedly made booking decisions that undermined their own work. That's the story of this show. The opener with Frankie Kazarian versus Steve Maclin for the international title was solid, but too short at just 2.5 stars. They had good back and forth work, some nice spots, including the sunset flip bomb to the outside, but they needed more time here. When you got two workers who can deliver and they're giving you quality stuff, cutting it short hurts the product. This wasn't a case where a short match was the right call here. This was a case where they had another gear to hit and didn't get that chance. Now, Maclin won with the KIA to capture the title, and it was fine for what it was, but it could have been more. Starting this show with a match that feels incomplete sets a tone, and not a good one. Then you get Tessa Blanchard versus Gia Miller, and this was just bad. This gets 1.25 stars. The problem here is simple. Gia Miller is extremely green. When you put someone that's inexperienced in a spot like this on a major show, your biggest show at that, you're asking for trouble. There were some botch spots that made it obvious, and Gia Miller's just not ready for this right now. Victoria Crawford got ejected, then nothing else really happened until Blanchard used a roll of quarters for the win. The only positive of this was that they kept it short. If this has gone longer, it would have been a disaster instead of just bad. Now, this is your second match on pay-per-view, and it's actively bad. That's not good. The Call Your Shot Gauntlet is where TNA's booking problems really started to show here. The match itself was fine. It had good moving parts, it was watchable, and the match portion worked. Then they did the finish. Nick Nemeth and Kazarian both win with simultaneous small packages. The crowd chanted bullshit. 2 winners in a gauntlet match makes no sense. The fans weren't happy, and they were right not to be happy. When you've got something working and people are into it, you don't kill it with a finish that confuses everyone and pisses them off. This is TNA doing what TNA does. Trying to be clever instead of just delivering what works. The match earned a better ending than what we got here. This gets 3.5 stars because everything before the finish was solid, but the booking decision dragged us down. Kelani Jordan versus Indi Hartwell for the Knockouts World title was good at 3 stars. They got time to work and they used it well here. Now, the story to me here is Kelani Jordan's improvement. You can see how much better she's gotten, and if she keeps developing at this rate, she's going to be one of the top workers, not just in the WWE, but possibly in wrestling. The improvement here to me is visible. They had good pacing, and Jordan retained with the split-legged moonsault. And this was a solid match to me that did its job. This is the kind of match that the show needed. Consistent, quality work that gives you a breather and delivers what it promises. The Hardcore War match with the System vs. Order Fun I thought was fun at 3.5 stars. When you book a hardcore match with 10 people, you know what you're going to get. Mostly. They pretty much delivered on that premise as well. The best spot to me was Agent Zero putting Alicia Edwards through a slam of tags. And then the System won with the Boston Knee Party. This is the kind of match that does what it's supposed to do. Give you an entertaining, hardcore match with action with multiple people involved. You don't always need to reinvent the wheel here. Sometimes you just need to execute the concept well, and that's what happened here. This match understood its assignment, and it delivered. Leon Slater versus Javon Evans for the X Division title I thought was excellent. And then TNA killed it. This is the most frustrating match on the show by far because of what it was and what they did to it. They went over 20 minutes and delivered an excellent match with spots, back and forth action, counters, and drama. This TNA crowd, out of all the TNA crowds I've seen over the years, besides a typical Hardy's entrance, was the most invested and loud I've heard them in years. There was a great spot where Slater pretty much was expecting a chop fest, and Evans hit a cutter and a springboard cutter. And afterwards, Slater did a tope after the restart over the ring post. Then Evans comes back with a Spanish fly. That stuff was just so great to see. This gets 4.5 stars, even with the stupid finish that came afterwards. The lights went out, and Dark State comes out, beats them both down for a no contest. The crowd hated this finish. This isn't about heat. This was a missed opportunity here. When you have a crowd that invested and that loud for the first time in years, you don't kill it with an interference finish. The execution of this was just terrible. You had something special happening. A genuinely great match with a hot crowd that was all the way in, and you threw it all away. This is the kind of decision that damages a show because it's not just a bad finish, it's wasting the best thing on your card. The match was excellent. The booking was shit. This was just ridiculous. The Hardys versus Team 3D for the TNA World Tag Team titles and the NXT Tag Team titles in a tables match was what you expect from 4 50-year-old men way past their prime. This gets 2.25 stars. The match ran a fine length, and it was good as it was going to get. Jeff Hardy, he did a swanton bomb off the ladder through a table, the same spot that he did from WrestleMania 2000. But the problem is that it looked like Jeff hit his head on the rung of a ladder. That didn't look good. When you're at that age doing these type of spots, the risk is higher, and the execution isn't what it used to be. Now, nobody expected this to be great, and it wasn't. But having this as your semi-main event when you know the limitations of everyone involved is a card structure problem at best. Trick Williams versus Mike Santana for the TNA World title closed the show at 3.5 stars. The match was good. They had decent time, good pacing, and structure, and Santana won with the spin to block to capture the title. What made this special to me was the post-match celebration where Santana handed the belt to his daughter. That moment mattered because his daughter is the reason he decided to get clean. When you add that context, it elevates what the moment means. The match itself was solid work, and the emotional payoff was real. This was a good finish to the show, but not a great one. When you add it all up, this show averages 3 stars per match. You've got one legitimately great match in the X Division match, but they killed it with the finish. You got 3 matches in 3 to 3.5 star range that are solid, but not special. You got 2 weak matches in Blanchard versus Miller in the tables match. You got an opener that was too short. You've got multiple booking decisions throughout the night that frustrated me and fans and undermined the work. The X Division match should have been the thing that elevated this show. Instead, the booking decision at the end turned what could have been a show-saving performance into another example of TNA shooting their self in the foot. The Gauntlet finish with 2 winners made no sense. The thing is, these aren't minor issues. These are fundamental problems with how the show is put together and executed. Card structure matters. Having your second match be actively bad hurts. Having your semi-main be a weak tables match with Asian talents hurts. Having your main event be good but not great means you don't have a strong finish to overcome the earlier problems. The show had potential, but the execution and booking repeatedly got in the way. This was a below average show. I get this a 6.75 out of 10. More misses than hits. You had one excellent match that got ruined by its finish. You had consistent mediocrity in the middle. You had genuinely bad stuff that dragged down the experience. And TNA had opportunities to deliver something better, and they didn't take them. That's why this show fails to reach even average status to me. The problems were avoidable, and that's what makes this even more frustrating.